Hello and welcome. My name is Justin Kurtz, and this is the University of Freedom, and this is your invitation to join us here at the University of Freedom and allow me the opportunity to help you pursue your educational goals, right? I mean, you want to do something with education, right? That's probably how you got here. You want to advance your knowledge, your wisdom, your understanding of something, whether it be how to make money online or how you can just get into the business of yourself. And I'm here to show you what I mean by getting into the business of yourself. And again, just to invite you to join the University of Freedom. So I'm going to draw out my logo, and this is going to make some sense to you because imagine that this dot here is you, and you've made a decision in your life, right? This is a decision point on the timeline, and you said, I am going to accomplish something great. And I don't care what it is. Whether it's you want to be a healthier you, maybe you want to lose weight, maybe you want to be a more talented you want to expand your gifts in some way, shape, or form so that you can receive more, whether it be a raise at work or you're just looking for a new career, whatever it is. You've sat here, and you're right here right now trying to figure out, well, how do I accomplish that? And I sympathize. I was there about 6 years ago. Here for me was $100,000 in debt. Been about a year after my third open heart surgery and a few months after my pacemaker was implanted. I was married, and my wife was pregnant, and I quit my job, and I didn't have any income, and I had no education, and I didn't know what I was going to do. Again, I was already $100,000 in debt, so borrowing more money to go back to college, when my college experience with most public universities was not very friendly. They didn't seem to really want me there. They weren't open at convenient hours. They didn't make it easy for me to do business with them. So anyway, I decided that since this is America and I believed in capitalism, and I would just start my own university, and I call it the University of Freedom. And I began to develop my business. And I want to teach you what I've learned over the years. And so to get from there to there is never a straight shot. It's always an uphill battle. And it's one of the most challenging problems. Well, what happens to most of us is we hit this point and then we flatline. I'm going to have to move my board a little bit here. All right? And when we flatline, we really actually start slipping. We start moving backwards in life. And this was where I really was finding myself, was actually falling back here. You see, I thought that my life was going great. You know, I'd just gotten a raise at work. I had a new company car. They were talking about my next promotion. They offered me a promotion the day I quit. And so I found myself here in my timeline going, wait a minute, I was doing good. I was rolling along with my goals and my dreams. I'd gotten my promotions and I'd overcome all my health challenges. But see, I was hooked on painkillers and was really just not living well. I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't sleeping at all. And not just painkillers. They had me on sleeping pills and then muscle relaxers and all sorts of other different things. And so I finally made a decision in my life. And I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to live a different life. And that's why we really come back and we have to review where we've been and where we really want to go and kind of redefine in order to keep moving forward in our timeline. And then you get my hat, my logo, the image that I use in order to keep my vision clearly in front of me. You see, your brain works on the power of images. And so if you can create a custom logo or a custom image that you keep before you, that teaches you, that talks to you, that grows with you, then you've got a very powerful thing. And I'll let you borrow mine because, see, this is what it stands for now, each of these dots, but it expands because when I looked at this board, I thought of potential. You see, in the midst of all my really bad part of life, they told me I had 20 years to live. I'd never had 20 years my whole life. Nobody had ever said you have 20 years that you might live. In fact, most of the time they told me, we don't know what's going to happen. We're kind of waiting to see. You know, I think I mentioned I had some heart surgeries, so I've had some health challenges that I've had to overcome, right? So anyway, so we take this and we've got to grow it, because the hat is just my coaching business, right? The hat is just a representation of my ability to coach. But to really be able to expand my vision, I wanted to be able to coach more than just one person at a time. And since I couldn't afford to go back to school, I thought other people might have the same problem. And so I created my University of Freedom, right? But then we have all these other dots. Now each of these dots represents something specific in life. And for me, they represent different things. And we're going to assign a letter to them. And the letters can change. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to assign my company's initials, JCR, right? And then we have the University of Freedom, because this is JCR Projects, and this is the University of Freedom. And then we have one more letter here. We're going to go with the letter L. Then we're going to talk about what each of those means. I'm going to go back to my notes here, if you'll excuse me. So I like acronyms, like making up words out of just letters. So we've got, of course, Justin, Chrissy, and Roland, and the project is us. Right, we're always working on the project of us. That's why we study and train in personal development and personal growth, because we're always the project in work. Right? God didn't make us perfect. We have to work really hard to get as good as we ever get, which some days is not as good as others. Right? We're human, just like everybody else. But we've learned some tricks along the way that help us, that make getting through life's tough spots a little bit harder. You know, we're pretty resourceful when it comes to that. We've been through some tough spots, right? So we've learned some lessons. So that can also stand for Jesus Christ is risen, because that is something that we have found to help us through a lot of times, and that is the faith and the grace of Jesus. And we can include that in what we do, and we need to make sure that we're including that in what we do, so that we're honoring Him in all we do, because He makes all work and all toil worthwhile, because we can do it in His name and for His glory. And that's what we do here at the University of Freedom and JCR Projects. We help people launch projects of them to become more like He wants us to be, like Jesus wants us to be. So let's move on. So we've got the journey, right? That's really what we want to talk about, is this is the journey to get where you want to go. And you've got to have these 8 wisdoms, I call them. Right? Actually, I called them fisdoms because I couldn't spell, and I like fisdoms better. But I'm trying to be a professional. So you also got corporate or community. Wisdom and community truths. You know, we have to work with other people. Right? Our journey at some point always has to bring other people into the mix. And we'll talk about more of that later. And we also have reality. Right? You have to know the truth of your reality. So these can also be known as 8 truths. The P, purpose. You got to have a purpose, man. That was what I felt I didn't understand when I hit my low spot. Right? This is my low spot. I didn't know what my purpose was. I knew I had survived 3 open heart surgeries. I've been through just an enormous amount of challenge and struggle of health and overcoming and pushing through to do big things and to accomplish great things in my life and to have a good career and to go through this all at the same time and to be able to just muster on. You know, that's something to be glad of, but why? And so, like anything, you know, you start to begin with the end in mind when you make your journey. And we'll talk about that, and we teach that here at the university. So we've got purpose, we've got universal truths, universal wisdoms. You need to understand your universal truths and universal wisdoms. Again, I find mine with Christ, but you need to understand your own. And I'm not going to say that I'm all-knowing or all-intelligent in that area. All right, you've got to have freedom. See, again, I go back to Christ for freedom, because freedom is what you have. Christ has set you free. Stand in and never become slaves. Again, Galatians 5:1. I read that, and that was what began my transformation in life, because I just wanted to be free. I didn't want to have to be on disability. I didn't want to have to be dependent upon others. And that's why we also talk about leadership. Right? And that's the final L. And we take leadership, and then the O up here is money, right? We have to understand and know the truth and the wisdom of finances and money, and the F just didn't fit in anywhere outside of freedom. So again, this is now not only a logo, a symbol, a business plan for an expansion, but a teaching and training tool. And I put all these together, and I want to use these to help you get into the business of self, to help you see how to make your own logo, how to create your own life, and to actually go through these 8 classes of creating the business of you. So if you will do me the favor, will you just go ahead and join now and start Project You? You're going to be glad you did it, because when you get all in with me and you join now and you get all in, I'm going to give you 48 weeks of personal coaching. All right, I'm offering a year's semester. This is a semester of training in how to develop a sustainable leadership education that's going to pay you to learn with me through the University of Freedom here online. So join now, and let's get started on the project of you.